România poate să spună în sfârșit că banii nu mai sunt o problemă, pentru că niciodată în istoria noastră nu am avut la dispoziție sume atât de mari. Dar nimic nu este gratis, iar aceste fonduri nu intră pur și simplu în visteria țării. Este nevoie de proiecte coerente care să schimbe într-adevăr viața cetățenilor. Știm cât de multe ne lipsesc la nivel național ca să trăim mai bine. În aceste condiții, autoritățile au o ultimă șansă, de pildă să construiască infrastructură de secol 21, pentru că am rămas chiar ultimii din UE care nu au rezolvat problema, iar acesta este doar un exemplu. Lara Tassan Zanin este directorul reprezentanței Băncii Europene pentru Investiții de la București. Discutăm despre condiția esențială pe care o are de îndeplinit România ca să profite de banii alocați de Europa. Gândire strategică susținută de multă muncă. Sunt Cristina Cileacu, începe Pașaport diplomatic. Lara Tassan Zanin, head of the European Investment Bank in Bucharest. Welcome to Diplomatic Passport.
Thank you.
Romania is in the focus of its partners because of the war in Ukraine, and we do lack all sorts of infrastructures from roads to digital, so we have a proposal of investments. Do you think we are capable enough to absorb these investments?
Well, I would say this is a question of $6 million. I think the short answer and the fair answer is yes, and we are, as European Investment Bank, here to help in that respect. We have one of the largest offices of all, and this, as I usually say, is not full of bankers that you would expect from a bank, but it's full of engineers and economists that are there to support the national authorities to prepare and implement projects. Because the problem in Romania is not so often availability of funds, and certainly the moment that we have in front of us is confirming this. In addition to the usual structural funds, Romania will benefit of a large further injections of EU funds from let's say the Recovery and Resilience Facility, but also the Modernization Fund and also the Just Transition Fund. So availability of funds, not a problem. What we should focus on is to help the Romanian authorities to prepare projects, because often preparation is slow or not adequate. So it's a matter of preparing well them in order for them to be on time and on budget, and considering the cost increase of supply and construction material and raw materials, this is going to be a challenging bit of the project preparation in the next months and years. And the second bit is implementation. Often we have seen that the public procurement in Romania affects negatively, let's say, the implementation of projects, particularly large and complex infrastructure ones. The Romanian authorities are equipped with better contract documentation, tender procedures, and the monitoring procedures. And we hope that this will allow building further on this. So the opportunities are there, and I would say also the chances. Now it's a matter to seize them all, and we are very committed to support Romania in this direction.
You did mention a key word, which is building. Romanians see their country like a continuous construction site, but the issue is the fact that the projects don't seem to connect to each other. It's a lot of individuality in these projects. As a European Investment Bank, because you did say as well that money are not a problem, definitely. We look at Romania and we see it like you build a beautiful road, and in the middle of it, it's an electricity pole. Yeah. How do you see it? Do you see any coherence in terms of project when it comes to country projects?
Well, certainly because of the struggles I've mentioned before, so slow project preparation, slow project implementation or inefficient project implementation, of course, we have seen Romanian authorities trying to do their best. And their best meant often suboptimal solutions. So they are struggling to deliver what they are supposed to deliver, and therefore they do it in the best way possible. We nevertheless see in the recent times a positive direction that also was brought forward by the PNRR, by the Resilience and Recovery Fund. I mean, Romania is today working more in sync, less in silos, among and between ministries, between the Prime Minister and the various ministries, and we are hopeful that there is a more cohesive and consistent approach. It will take time to be seen by citizens on the street, but certainly there is more of a vision, also given by a certain stability and predictability that we have seen in the recent, let's say, months, and we hope that they will continue in the future. We have also seen a very, I would say, more strategic approach to the future, to more thinking in the long term, and for example, we have just received a request from the government to co-finance PNRR for 4 billion euro on road and transport and health infrastructure. So I would say the attention is on the right sectors. The strategic vision is building. There is a little bit of predictability and stability we can leverage on. And we look forward on building on that. In that context, we also welcome the newly created Investment and Trade Agency. This is also gives you the idea that there is more vision than what we have seen in the past. There is an attempt to do that, and also there is an attempt, which we very much welcome, of having a public investment management unit under the Prime Minister. We believe that this sort of mechanism, first of all, it's the first time they are discussed. There are a lot of stakeholders involved, a lot of consultation, which is very appreciated, and we stay hopeful that they will give results in the near future.
Can you share some of this vision? Because for us it's something new.
Of course, it's true that investments, and particularly public investments, are overdue in Romania, and this would be not fair to say the opposite. But as I said, it's clear that with the investment backlog that Romania has, in certain sectors more than others, there is the need to think long term and to put together the investment pipeline and backlog with the available resources. Resilience and Recovery Plan, the PNRR, it's a very important injection, the next MFF 21-27 as well, but there was still any financing gap, and Romania decided to strategically secure the EIB money, which is actually a very competitive compared to what can be found on the capital market. So as I say, just a bit more expensive than grants, because we don't look for profit, but we go after public policy goals like infrastructure development or support to SMEs and to innovation. So this is one vision to say, okay, let's make sure that we will have the best available financial alternative in the next years. 4 billion is a huge amount also for the EIB. The decision was to focus this on transport and on health, which we believe is a good priority, first of all because we have to understand that thinking in a climate perspective, the big envelopes on transport, particularly road infrastructure, will not come in future. These are the last large envelope for this type of infrastructure coming from the EU, because the EU will have to shift towards sustainable transport modes. And the second bit is health, which we believe is also a very strategic sector where Romania has to step up. The public investments have to deliver. We know that the brain drain of Romania is I would call it
system, yeah.
tragic to a certain extent, and the reason why people are leaving are mainly because they don't see good education and health services being available for their kids in the future. So that's why we believe that focusing on health sector and on transport is actually one part of this vision. If I can add a second bit, is the fact that there is a more vision in attracting foreign direct investment rather than, let's say, serving the case-by-case basis. So this is also very important if we want to attract innovation, low carbon intense type of industries to Romania, because Romania has to convert and transition from a high intense carbon emission type of industry in certain regions particularly towards a low carbon emission. So you need a strategy to say, okay, I don't only reply to requests of FDIs, I want to have my own directions, my own preferred sectors, and certainly we also believe that if we have to go green, technology and innovations are key. The best way to accelerate the green transition is to bring and possibly develop more and more clean technologies to favor overall the competitiveness of the Romanian firms towards the EU, but also globally.
At the level of, let's say, Central and Eastern Europe, we have a project started in 2015. European Investment Bank is not a part of it, but I should ask as well. I'm talking about the 3 Cs initiative. It's a project that's supposed to connect the infrastructure on the road, on the railways, and also in the digital infrastructure from north to south of Europe.
Yes.
How do you observe these projects? Are there any movements?
I think that the initiative like 3 Cs are anyway welcome. We are not part of it, but we have attended and we are part of the discussions when it comes to who does what, where they can be complementary to what we do. And eventually I think that after the initial political declaration, by now they also have come to terms with the challenges that these projects pose. And then of course the aggression to Ukraine also kind of endangered the energy crisis and etc. has endangered the type of pace that they could envisage. The 3 Cs initiative were able to mobilize some funds. And when it comes to utilize these funds, they approached us to compare notes and say, okay, where we have still financing gaps, where it makes sense to put this money. So it's not an either or, it's rather let's do it together, smartly, possibly.
We can add to that the infrastructure of energy in Europe, because of course now with the war in Ukraine we did discover that Russia is blackmailing Europe from the energy point of view. On the other hand, Europe has its own part of blame because it didn't diversify earlier. Are there any improvements starting to happening, or it's still just at the level of talking?
No, I think we are beyond talking. For how, let's say, sad and challenging the situation is for Europe and for the market, it's clear that the consequences on the dependence on the Russian gas and this current situation has accelerated tremendously the green transition. I mean, and although some actors in the market are claiming that we should go back to coal, back to gas, we de facto see that the markets are already after clean technology, clean energy. Investors have decided that that is the direction. To a certain extent also we were part of it, but we didn't expect such a sharp turn with no way back, so to say. So although of course we welcome that other actors can maintain a certain financial support to gas drilling, for example, in the Black Sea, we remain committed and we believe that the focus should be put on renewable energy production, on storage facilities in any direction, on energy consumption, because we have to reduce the energy, both in terms of households and the industries. And the last pillar is for us really innovation and technologies. So basically we have seen that this situation has accelerated tremendously the attention on the right direction, so to say. It will happen faster, definitely, and in a wider way than what we expected. We also believe that Romania turn the glance into the right direction. Of course, it's welcome that they are progressing on the gas in the Black Sea, but also they are progressing on the renewable energy, both regulatory framework and availability of funds under the PNRR and soon under the modernization fund. So there is a lot of movement in the market. Of course, the devil is in the details, and for example, we believe that a lot of attention should be put also on what comes after the renewable energy capacity production is supported, and basically and mainly in this moment the transmission grid. We believe that there should be an acceleration of investments on transmission grid capacity, because this is where all these expectations in the market about the new renewable energy to be produced will hit a bit of a wall, because there will be not enough capacity in the grid by the time the renewable energy projects will be ready. And this is a delay that Romania cannot afford. In that sense, we are supporting Transelectrica to speed up the approval processes, to optimize their internal project preparation approvals, and we believe this should be really high in the government agenda in order to really deploy the renewable energy production that they are supporting. Another good element, we believe, is the accent that was put on prosumers. So we saw a very, very fast reaction in the market, and not only from industries but also from retailers and other subjects in the space, which will help going green in terms of energy production, photovoltaic panels or wind plants as a cogeneration, but also will reduce a bit of pressure on the transmission grid and the distribution grid, because they will produce on site. So we believe that the good direction is there, and we look forward a bit of a long-term vision and planning, because, as I said, the transmission and distribution grids are going to be somehow a bottleneck if we don't address them now in parallel with the renewable energy production capacity support.
You touched a very sensitive point, because of course Romania, it's like it has two speeds. On the one hand, we don't have all sorts of infrastructure. On the other hand, we have young generations that are quite innovative and creative. And the question is, how is the innovation part of Romania the way the European Investment Bank is seeing it?
Certainly, there is a lot of creativity, a lot of startups. There are also a number of instruments that will be available to the market. So in that sense, we see a growing demand and a growing, let's say, offer. We will be part of it under in the InvestEU program. The EIB group, so both EIB and EIF, will be offering both equity support but also venture debt support. So while in the past EIB has been more traditionally an infrastructure public sector bank with large tickets, now our shareholders have asked us to really go smaller, go riskier, go more towards innovation, and to do that it means that we have to go and support those companies that were newly created, that usually they are very difficult to be bankable because they don't have a positive track record, and usually they work on something that is not the best available technology, but it's something from a bank's perspective relatively risky. For example, one of these clear examples in this domain is about e-mobility and let's say charging stations. Also, there is a lot of interest and a lot of creativity in the market about that, but it's clear that these type of investments are not per se profit making yet for a number of reasons, a critical mass of electrical vehicles, but also other type of reality in the market, like for example that there are many providers that offer this free of charge, either malls or compounds, residential areas. Yet, of course, this dynamism in the youngsters and in the young generation, young part of the market, is not embedded into a systemic reality. So we would like to see more science parks, more incubators, more, let's say, spin-off from universities, more support to commercialization of the various spin-offs. We are in close contact with the Ministry of Digitalization, Innovation and Research to work on that front, both under PNRR and the next MFF 21-27. But probably this is something that will take, I would say, even more time than the road infrastructure, because traditionally this bit was always a bit in the past not taken as a key sector overall. It was more left to the initiative of the private sector. Now the public sector is catching up, understanding where the gaps in the systems are, and last but not least, we are very happy that as EIB we have supported with more than 100 million euro Romanian universities for them to be equipped with let's say, modern technologies in some key innovative sectors like nanotechnology, like space technologies, because we also believe that public sector investments in this domain should start from universities and build the whole, let's say, chain towards commercialization and, let's say, fully scaled market technical solutions.
To a brighter future, yeah.
Yes.
Atât pentru astăzi, dar rămânem în continuare online pe pagina de Facebook a emisiunii și pe contul nostru de Twitter. Revenim cu subiecte noi din lumea diplomației și a politicii externe vinerea viitoare de la 11:30 și în reluare sâmbătă după miezul nopții. La revedere!